And what's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of the Series X podcast. That is right, guys. We are back after, I believe it was about 3 weeks or so. One of the supporters of the show got a hold of me on Xbox Live, and they're like, "Are you doing a show this Sunday?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we are." He's like, "Yeah, it's been about 3 weeks, man." And I'm like, "Oh, we got to get going here." So, what is up, chat? Great to see you guys. Yes, this is the show where we do our absolute best to keep the console war drama out of it. That's right. This is an Xbox show for Xbox gamers. And of course, I am joined by my partner in crime, the elusive gamer himself, Jamie Moran. What is up, brother?
Hey, man. Happy to be here. It's been a few weeks, so we actually have a lot to talk about.
Almost too much, man. Like, when we chilled out for a little bit and Xbox decided to put their foot, like, pedal to the metal, their foot hit the gas, and it just was insane the last couple of weeks, brother.
Yeah, but it's coming up to E3, and we've had a few more E3 announcements, like which studios are going to be there and that, and it's going to be an exciting few months ahead.
Nice. Actually, I didn't get the information on which studio, so that's going to be interesting, man. And I'm definitely looking forward to that. Yo, chat. Before we get into it, I gotta do your typical YouTube business. That is right. If you do me a favor, I'm gonna do it right now, yo. Hit that thumbs up button for the show, and share this out. Share this out wherever you know Xbox gamers go to talk about Xbox, because this is an all Xbox show, so why wouldn't they want to be here? You know what I'm saying? I think it's a no-brainer. Xbox gamers need to be here on Sundays and check the show out and fill us in on stuff that you guys know, in terms of news when it comes to Xbox in the chat, because it's cool to look at the chat and see what everybody is talking about, as well as the topics we have in line for the show. But with that being said, I gotta ask you, Jamie, like, before we get into it, I gotta ask you, man, we haven't gotten together for a couple weeks, man. What games have you been playing within this time, man? What has gotten your interest on your Xbox?
Oh, did a whole playthrough of Metal Gear Solid 3 HD. I'm currently replaying Quantum Break, which is fantastic. Outriders, put a lot of time into that, but we'll be talking about that in a bit. And just a bunch of other backwards compatible games. I've been testing a lot of the frame rate stuff. So like the 60 frames per second Watch Dogs 2 is just mind blowing. Like that game at 60 frames is just perfect. Like now it just needs a resolution enhancement because it's still like 900p, but that's a topic for a different day. But yeah, just a lot of backwards compatible games. And I would have been playing Judgment by now, but I decided to get it on disc, and it still hasn't arrived yet, so that's great.
Damn, physical letting people down, man. Nah, I'm just playing, yo. But yo, Jamie, it seems like you go through that a lot when you buy physical, and I think it's when it's a game you're really looking forward to play, is when it doesn't like end up on time at your doorstep, brother.
Yeah, I mean, if this happens to the Mass Effect trilogy,
oh no,
everyone on Earth will hate me, because this happens too often. And the thing is, I'm not against digital games. I buy digital games all the time now, but it's when it's something I really want for the collection, it always happens to be late. But I mean, I kind of knew this was going to happen, so hey, life moves on.
You might have to start double dipping, man. Get the digital, make sure it's on time, and then get the disc to have in your collection. I don't know, man. It's just an idea if you can swing that. But I actually do know people who do that. There's people that have like sealed games physically, and they have the games digitally on the system. So it is a thing, bro. It is a thing. But as far as I'm concerned, all right, I got back into Grand Theft Auto 5, the story. And one thing I want to say about that is the story to GTA 5, I feel, is severely overlooked. The story to me is so good. Some of it, absolutely raunchy. Some of it disturbing when it comes to Trevor, and kind of like his introduction when you first meet Trevor and what he does and all that good stuff. it's definitely crazy. But all in all, kind of like the voice acting, the progression of the story, and how the escalation takes place in the storyline and stuff. I feel like GTA 5 story is so good, and I'm happy that I'm back in and kind of like replaying the story again. For people who don't know, it is on Game Pass one more time. This is the second go round for GTA 5 in Game Pass. So if for some reason you're one of the like 4 people out there who hasn't bought the game yet, definitely check it out. Definitely check it out on Game Pass. Another game I checked out, and this is kind of like within the news that kind of dropped and stuff that happened while me and Jamie weren't live. MLB The Show came to Game Pass, and that was a huge thing because we all know MLB The Show was typically an exclusive for the rival platform, but Major League Baseball wanted those NBA 2K numbers, and they kind of they told Sony that they needed it to be multi-plat, or they were going to move to different developers. So we got MLB The Show on Xbox, and then not only that, but I guess Major League Baseball worked out a deal with Xbox to get it into Game Pass day and date. And I gotta say, like, the game looks good, the game feels good. I just feel like I might not be a baseball video gamer. I love the pitching and stuff like that. I love the strategy and pitching and all that good stuff. Graphically, it looks great. I'm playing on the Series S. Definitely looks awesome. My biggest complaint with MLB The Show is the setup of the menus. That would be the biggest downside, the biggest negative. When you first get in, it's kind of confusing to navigate. You can actually scroll down for more options on where you want to go and stuff like that within the game, but they have nothing that really tells you to scroll down. I actually found it by accident, but it can be a little confusing at first. All the options for how to pitch to a batter, how to bat when you're up, and how to field, all those options that are there can be overwhelming for people, especially people who aren't used to that offering. But like I say, all in all, like the gameplay mechanics feel good. The animations are tight. I definitely like that. It does take some tweaking on the settings and stuff, because I know my brother K Mega, he was talking about how he was his outfielders were double clutching when they were throwing the ball from into the infield. And I noticed that, that was happening with me as well, but he let everybody know on next podcast the kind of like fix in the settings for it, to get rid of that. But I got to say, all in all, we haven't had, Jamie, I know you're probably not into baseball or whatnot, but we haven't had a baseball game on Xbox in quite a long time. So I think getting this game not only on the Game Pass I said Game Pass and I said Game Box when I meant Xbox, on the Xbox platform, but also getting it in Game Pass day and date. Dude, it definitely had to make a lot of people happy, bro.
Oh yeah, it's a big deal. Like, even as a Brit, like, I know how big baseball is in the US. It's like when Football Manager came to Game Pass in the UK, or came to Xbox in the UK, it was a big deal because it's the first time we've had Football Manager on Xbox in over a decade. So when you talk about MLB, an officially licensed baseball game, come to Xbox for the first time, well, in forever or whatever, right? It's a big deal. And, I've seen a lot of people in my feed who are obviously from the US, really happy with the game. So the reception overall seems really positive, from the fans at least. I've read the reviews, which seems weird. The thing about the reviews, I don't know if we're going to talk about this, but I don't really look into Metascores because I think Metacritic scores are pointless. It's a weird way to judge games. But if you look at every single Metascore for the baseball game for the past decade, this is its lowest one. And there doesn't seem to be any reason why.
It's a little ironic. We did cover some of this on next podcast, and I believe Predator said that the people who had like official complaints were stating that the road to the show in some way, shape, or form was broken. I didn't get a chance to look into it, but he also did state that people who were putting in their 2 cents on reviews, he was like, the funny thing was a bunch of them were either absolutely 0 or 10 out of 10. And when you see groupings like that, Jamie, you know what that is. You know those types of people, right?
Yeah, we see this a lot with games. Things like Nier Automata on Xbox got absolutely. No, it was the Steam version got absolutely hounded in the reviews, user score, because the Xbox, I should say, the Windows 10 version for Game Pass worked better. So people like to mess with that score constantly. We've seen with things like The Last of Us, that user score was all over the place. They had to change how it works. Honestly, I don't really see the point in user scores because people manipulate it. At the end of the day, unless you can, prove if you've bought a copy of that game and have played it, you shouldn't be able to leave a meta score or a user score. And it's just weird because people throw these numbers all day on Twitter and social media. And it's like, at the end of the day, what people should do is find a reviewer that they have, common interests and, likes with. And if you like the same types of games as this certain reviewer, pay attention to them. Pay attention to what they write in the reviews, not this little magical number on this website, because you can also go to OpenCritic and get a different score. So it's like, which number matters more? It's weird. And the thing is, I've seen a lot of people really happy about this baseball game. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, is it the critics just, all of a sudden smelling their own farts? Or is it the genuine issues with the game for the first time in a decade, when these annualized sports games are pretty much the same thing every year with, little improvements each time? Or if, Madden, well, I've heard things about Madden just getting worse every year, but this baseball game, I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah, so far, like I said, I think that I'm just not necessarily a baseball video gamer, but with that being said, I have no problem going in online and playing against people online. I think that's where the fun would be, in a party, going against somebody else, kind of like talking smack and stuff like that. That's where I think I will keep MLB, the show, on my hard drive, for those instances. But to dive into like 162 game season and franchise, I'm not sure if that's for me. But for people who do like it, I've seen a lot of huge baseball fans like on Twitter and stuff like that absolutely giddy over having the show on the Xbox platform. So shout out to you guys. I am so glad that you're happy getting your favorite sport back on the Xbox platform. And the presentation, except for the menus, but the presentation to the game is really well done. So shout out to you guys. Let's see. Well, we got Outriders on the topics list, and I feel like we haven't been able to talk about that. So Outriders is another game, a third-party game, multi-plat game that came to Game Pass day and date, and a lot of people were excited about this. It's kind of like a looter shooter at its core, at the heart of the game, but the developers aren't going to treat it as a games as a service. They're not going to keep putting on content, season passes, stuff like that. Basically, the game is the game when you purchase it or you download it from Game Pass. Now, the only thing is, at launch, there seems, and I feel like it's still ongoing now, but there were some drastic server issues, people getting kicked out of the game when trying to join friends, getting kicked out at very inopportune times right before a boss fight, and then they can't get back in with their friend for a boss fight, people getting stuck in certain parts of the story as well, not able to progress. It's been a mixed bag, because I see a lot of people really liking the game, but then I see a lot of people who are still unable to play it. Jamie, Outriders, man, in Game Pass Xbox platform, multi-plat. Uh, definitely having issues, man. What has been your experience, and have you seen it improve or kind of like devolve from when you first started playing?
Oh, well, I mean, I've been hyping this game since it was announced because, I was finally getting a sci-fi third-person RPG, that wasn't a games as a service game. And then they come out and constantly for the past year and say it's not games as a service, it's not live service. And that is true. But tie in the online profiles or the player profiles and the way the loot drops work, have that server based was just the wrong way to go. Like they messed up so bad with this. And the thing is, I love Outriders from what I've played. I haven't had any issues. I do think that the problem is they advertise this as an RPG. They didn't say it's a looter game, looter. But the problem is, a lot of it plays like a looter. The boss that made me quit the game, I'm going to go back to it, but like I literally went up against this boss where my ammo was doing nothing. My powers were doing nothing, and then they threw over these like secondary minions after us at the same time that were like spitting acid at us, and I was just like, I can't do this. The difficulty spikes in that game are ridiculous, and the problem is that if you want to play and get better loot, you have to play at a higher difficulty. But if you lower it, if you get to a pretty bad boss, well, you're going to lower your chances of getting a legendary weapon. So you have two choices. Do you lower your chances of getting a legendary weapon, or do you make the game, harder and suffer through it and possibly play against the same boss several times? Because I have a short temper when it comes to this type of stuff. And the thing is, like, when it comes to anything else in life, I'm a very chill person. But if a game annoys me, it is dead to me. And this boss just annoyed me. I played it twice, and I was like, I'll put it down for a week. And then when I heard about everyone losing all their loot, I was scared to fire the game back up. Like it was a cluster F, man. They messed it up. They shouldn't have launched the game like this. But I've went on and checked, and I'm fine.
Okay.
They have said they are going to address the loot issue. People will get their loot back, and they are going to address the whole nerfing situation. But the problem is that they couldn't. They told us for a year and a half that this was going to be this, single player or play it in co-op RPG, and then the last minute, oh, by the way, your profiles are saved on the server side, and your loot is based on what these random number generators do on like a server. It's just no, don't do that. You can't advertise a game being like a non-live service and then have it all connected to this live service. It's fucking bonkers. They shouldn't have done that.
That explains why the game needs to be online, because like core elements are attached to server algorithms and stuff like that.
The thing is, the way they've been talking about it, I thought it was going to be like let's say this is a bad way to go about it, but like let's say in Mass Effect 2 or 3, you complete a mission, you find like a certain area with a crate, you collect an item, you have that weapon, right? It's not connected to the internet. It's already pre-built in the game, set to go. The problem is with these random number generators thing that they have to connect it to the internet because players will always find a way to manipulate the system.
Mm.
So in essence, making games based on random number generators, they have to have them online. But why couldn't they just create X amount of weapons with X amount of stats? Like that would have just been an easy way to go about it, and they wouldn't have had all this online shite. But it's just annoying to me for the past year and a half, like a muppet saying it's not a live service, it's not a live service, and it's not a live service. But at the end of the day, if you have to connect to the internet and have all this server-based RNG stuff, what the hell's the point of me talking about it being a single-player or co-op, RPG you can play offline when you kind of play offline? It's stupid.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely hear you on that, man. Just to let you know, I did take it off my hard drive, by the way. Like I tried numerous times. The first day or two, I was fine. First day or two, I was fine. I was having fun with the game. After that second day, going in and trying to play with friends, I was constantly getting booted out. And not just booted out to like the main menu. Like it's like similar to a game crash. It put me right back to my dashboard. And shout out to my brother Clowns. He was like, yeah, when that happens, just hard reset your system and start it up again and jump in. So I did that like a couple times. and the situation would not get any better. So since it wasn't getting any better, since I already play, I have games that scratch that looter itch. You guys know I play Destiny 2 quite often, and I was like, you know what? I took it off my hard drive for now. I'm waiting until I hear, at least from a lot of people in the community and the developers, that pretty much all this stuff has been ironed out. It's been smoothed out, and you'll go back in and play it again. But I did say, the couple of days that I did play it was fun. It was a very interesting world. It's just unfortunate that all the issues just got me to where I'm not gonna get upset. I'm not gonna flip out. I'm just gonna take it off the hard drive and wait. Pretty much. Kind of like what a lot of people said they did for Cyberpunk, where they said that game wasn't running well, so they just kind of, we'll wait until it gets fixed. I think Outriders is going to be in Game Pass for quite a while, especially with how it launched and stuff like that. So I'm just going to wait for it to kind of like smooth out or whatnot. Jamie, did you said you got stuck at a boss. You haven't gone back to like go in and take it out yet, right?
No, not yet. But the thing is, like, when I heard about the nerfing situation, considering I keep using a sniper rifle, well, that was basically them answering the question of why. So I'm just waiting for the patch to come through. But the thing is, like, the gameplay in Outriders is awesome. The story, is a bit wacky, but I like it. The aesthetic of everything, the way you have this vehicle which you kind of customize along the way.
I love that part.
Yeah, and like the UI, the mission structure, I really like it. As someone that doesn't like these service-based games, like Destiny or The Division, like those games aren't for me. But this is giving me that looter itch, but without all the I don't know,
season passes and stuff like that.
without all that crap. But it's like, it's like I want this game to be successful, and I was happy that it was selling well. Despite the fact it was in Game Pass, and even I was posting every day, like, hey, look, it's number 2 on best sold in the UK and stuff. But like the second they start having all these issues with the loot disappearing and stuff, like that thing disappeared from like the top 25 list. Because people are very wary now, especially after the way Cyberpunk launched. Of like, a lot of people now are willing to look at a game and think, I'll get that months from now. And the problem is that when that happens, the developers can say, oh, well, people didn't buy it at launch. And, well, we've seen other developers mention that recently. They are talking about, the patches every day and stuff, and they are being very vocal to the community, which is a good sign, because we've seen in the past other developers have completely ignored the community, Anthem. So it's a good thing that they're being very vocal and talking every day on Twitter about it, because they could have did an Anthem and just, left. Because I remember playing Anthem, and then the developers, I put it like this, the developers of Anthem forgot about Anthem so much that they left the Christmas lights up till March.
Yo, for real.
Like, that's how much they cared about that game. But hey, I think it'll get better. They'll fix the nerfing situation and stuff and the difficulty thing. But I think it's been successful enough that they will have learned what they can do better in the sequel. And plus, like, the Outriders Twitter account, they were fast enough to throw Square Enix under the bus when it came to the situation, because they could have went, with dedicated servers, but didn't, because Square Enix, they kind of cheap out about stuff. Unless it's Final Fantasy 14, precious little Final Fantasy 14, nothing gets servers.
Yeah, they went with a hybrid system, I believe, when it came down to it.
Also, a bag of useless nothing.
They call it a hybrid. I think it's peer to peer to connect to people, and then maybe the cloud and the Azure gets involved when it comes to the number generator or something like that. I don't know, man, but yeah, it was definitely an issue where I was scratching my head with why if this game needs to be online and all that good stuff, why aren't they using absolutely dedicated servers? I don't know, man. But yo, anything you gotta say? Anything else you want to say about Outriders? Because if not, man, I'm gonna move on to the next topic. So let me know,
Yeah,
brother.
yeah. Shizno Elite said on the chat that he thinks it'll leave Game Pass within 90 days. Games don't leave that soon. Most games are in there for 6 months. A lot have been over. I mean, hell, Alien Isolation's been in there for like 3 years. I think it'll be a 6 month deal. I mean, we saw Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead Redemption was like a one off, but that was in there for about 3.5 months, I think. So I think it's going to be in there a while. I wouldn't worry about it leaving just yet.
Let's see. And was it Otaku Nate said really liked Outriders, played through the story, and did a couple end game runs, and now I'm done, which is nice. Now, yeah, the end game runs, the expeditions, those have my interest maybe more than kind of like going through the story right now. But again, I'm gonna wait a little bit. I started getting frustrated, and I'm not that type of person, man. I'm not gonna fight against the current just to play one game. You know, when it comes down to it, I was there for Master Chief Collection's release, and the funny thing about the Master Chief Collection was usually when it comes to Halo, I go into story first, and then I'll go into multiplayer after I beat it. But since it was the Master Chief Collection and I already beat the Halos that it came with, I remember like that night, a little after midnight, I go in to play the game on launch for multiplayer, and that was the thing that didn't work. So after a little bit, I was like, you know what? I'm not even fighting with it. I just shut it off, and I'll see what's going on after I wake up the next day, because I don't deal with it. But let's see what else do we got on the list here. Let's talk second extinction, man. Let's get into something new that's coming out this week, and of course, again, dropping into Game Pass, guys. I gotta say, I absolutely love the Game Pass service. I know I've said it for quite a while now, but it just keeps getting better and better and better. And for people who said like how good Game Pass was a year ago, they're absolutely astounded right now, and they don't even have words to say how good it has gotten up to this day. It absolutely insane. But a game's coming out called Second Extinction, and I'm gonna give you my thought of what I think this game is, or kind of like my quick. To me, it looks like Left 4 Dead, but instead of zombies, it's dinosaurs. That's what I feel like is like the core gameplay kind of like loop. It does drop on the 28th in Game Pass, and of course you can also buy it as well. Jamie, Second Extinction, you've talked about this a couple times on this show. I've seen you on Twitter talk about it as well. Bro, first off, are you hyped for this? And what do you think about my kind of like comparison, where to me, with looking at the gameplay, and I'm going to put some of the gameplay that they have posted up already, I'm going to put it up as we're talking about it. But does that seem to be a proper kind of like rundown real quick, that it seems like a Left 4 Dead, but with dinosaurs instead of zombies?
I kind of get that impression. For people that don't know what Second Extinction is, I'm going to read off the description, which is awesome in itself. The goal is simple: reclaim Earth. In Second Extinction, you take on hordes of mutated dinosaurs with up to 2 friends. Now, straight to the point, fight mutated dinosaurs with machine guns. It's beautiful.
He says beautiful.
I mean, this is what video games are about. Like, I'm looking forward to this game. I've been talking about it for a while. It launches in Game Pass, which is quite funny because at the same time, it's also in game preview. So that's a new one on me. But we get an achievements day one, so that's a win. But yeah, I think the game looks cool. Again, and you fight dinosaurs. Like that's all there is to the game. Yeah, I do get the Left 4 Dead comparisons. There's a lot of games that kind of use the Left 4 Dead thing. World War Z did that.
Mm-hmm.
What's that new zombie game that came to Game Pass? Zombie Army 4. That's a lot like Left 4 Dead, but in third person. The new Aliens Fire Team is pretty much exactly like Left 4 Dead. So
it's kind of like a horde-esque type situation because like even in the gameplay, they tell you to repair kind of like either a supply ship or something like that, and you go to repair it. It seems like you put down this machine that kind of it kind of like scans the area within a certain mileage to see like what kind of dinosaurs are around you as you're doing like specific other objectives. And of course, they come around and they come around hard, man. They horde in there. So I think it's more like a horde type system.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, it's probably more like horde. And plus, like the gameplay alone looks good. I mean, you're fighting T-Rexes like with machine guns. That's just awesome. The game throws a lot of enemies on screen at you, which we don't see a lot. But I mean, that's all there is to the game. You shoot dinosaurs, but I think that's all it needs to be. And the funny thing about this game is that I've been talking about this game for months, and we only found out about the Game Pass thing about a month ago. But for the past 6 months, whenever I talk about this game, I get that one question: Game Pass? Question mark. But I think probably the developers, this game's going to be pretty popular. There aren't many games like this on Xbox. In fact, I can't really think of any games on Xbox where you fight dinosaurs like this, unless we're talking about the old Turok ports. But I think it's going to be pretty popular because like we get a lot of Game Pass games, but we don't see a lot of Game Pass games like this. Like, not really.
To me, with the whole kind of like fighting them with two of your friends, kind of like in what I say, kind of like its resemblance to a Left 4 Dead type game, a horde type game. I think it's a perfect fit for Game Pass. I feel like, that will be the kind of like the biggest demographic because it is a new IP. I'm not sure it would sell like gangbusters by itself, but with having it in a subscription service where people can just download and play it, I think that they'll get a lot of active users, and I think that's what this type of game needs. It needs people going in and trying it out, kind of like trying it before you buy it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I know they've said over time they'll add more dinosaurs. But the thing is, a game like this, they can add, different variants of each dinosaur, different mutations of each dinosaur, different dinosaurs, new maps, new weapons. So like they can really expand on this game, and it's the type of game that they could really expand on. And for a game like this, it's all about player numbers. They want as many people playing this game as possible because I assume there may be some sort of microtransaction stuff. But when it comes to these types of games, if they do have microtransactions, it's the whales that support this game. So I don't think it's going to be one of those games people have to worry about when it comes to microtransactions. I think they'll be fine. But yeah, it looks like a solid release. I mean, look on screen right now, fighting a T-Rex.
Dude, this looks absolutely incredible right now. Like circling a T-Rex, you got a Triceratops, a mutated Triceratops, like charging in. And of course, shooting the front of that thing is not going to be any good because of the thick bone structure on the skull. So you see them kind of like turning around as he's charging, kind of like avoiding the charge and hitting kind of like the meaty part of it. It looks like a lot of fun, man. It's definitely a game that I would play with a bunch of people. And it releases... You just want to make sure we're good here. And we are back. Yo, guys... OBS, I think OBS is not a fan of dinosaurs because it decided to completely crash. Like, yo, Jamie, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
All right, cool. I do apologize about that. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to have to check OBS after the show to see if there was maybe an update I missed or something like that, because that really never happens, man. I've had it like cut out real quick and then come back on, but it completely closed out the window and shut down. But I was able to get us up, back, and running really quick. Jamie, do you know do you know the developers for this game?
Yeah, it's Systemic Reactions and Avalanche Studios Group.
All right, Avalanche I've heard of. Systemic, have they done anything that's like that like gamers should know about in their history, or is this something brand new?
I'm looking now, but this might be their first game.
Oh wow! So that would definitely make a lot of sense. They're coming in at the perfect time too, with having like Game Pass out there again to get their game out to the masses and have as many people playing it as possible. If it's your first game, you know, you got this kind of like multiplayer co-op thing going on. You definitely want to have it in a place where a lot of people can play it.
But you have to think about it. This is an indie. You know, people always assume that indie titles have to be these, 2-bit games where, you're playing as a little cube on a screen with other little cubes. They can look like this. Things like The Ascent. We're going to see a lot of indie games over the years.
Dude, when's The Ascent come out? Did it get a date?
That's never getting a date. I get asked every day about that. It's meant to be soon.
It's meant to be soon.
But yeah, look, when it comes to these games, they can either do really well. These games are risky, right? So launching on Game Pass makes sense. And I don't mean it's risky because, they're going to be bad games. They're risky in the sense that people are very risk averse to spending money on something they don't think it's going to be good. So with Game Pass, they can just, play the games anyway. So I think a game like this, perfect for Game Pass.
Dude, again, I'm back on the T-Rex. I'm watching the T-Rex, man. That right there has me. And the cool thing about it is with Game Pass, I don't have to think about whether or not, I'm putting down the money for a brand new game, pretty much brand new developer. Don't really know what I'm going to get. Of course, you see gameplay clips and you see kind of like so many minutes of gameplay, but you're like, I don't know if, hey, is that it when it comes down to it? Is there going to be more? Is there going to be more meat on the bone per se? And with Game Pass, I could just download it and try it out and see for myself. And I'm actually, Jamie, you know what the funny thing is? When I first saw this, I was not really hyped about it. I will let you know. I think it was one of the shows last year, during the whole COVID thing where they were trying to like chop up and make as many shows out of like new games and stuff like that as they could. And, when I saw the trailer for it, I gotta say, I wasn't crazy excited about it. But first off, this T-Rex fight in and of itself has definitely got my interest. Because when they first showed it, all they showed was kind of like the smaller dinosaurs or whatnot. And but with it being in Game Pass, dude, that's a game changer right there, in my opinion, because it's got me ready to download it when it comes out, man.
Yeah, I do remember you telling me. I think you replied to one of my tweets saying it looks like generic. The thing is, you're fighting dinosaurs. It's very generic, but at the same time, isn't that awesome? Like I can't remember the name of it, but when I was a little kid, there was a TV show. It was a cartoon about, I think it was called Dino Riders, where humans would ride dinosaurs into battle.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, again, that is generic as hell, but it was awesome. And again, like, you weren't excited about this. And even if you were still not really excited about it, you'd still probably get to play it because it's in Game Pass. So it's like, there's less risk, there's less, there's less worry about that because this is the type of game people look at and think, is it going to get support for a long time? Well, if it's going to have high player numbers via Game Pass especially, it's probably going to get more support over the long term.
Yo, shout out to Ganderlad in the chat. And, he brings up a really good point because, Jamie, how you said that, pretty much games stay in Game Pass for over that 90-day moniker. He said by the time Outriders comes out of Game Pass, there will definitely be other games of note that'll fill its space. Now, and that's a funny thing because I know they're different games, but I can see this game taking away from the player base of Outriders. Like, I don't know, like the action in it and stuff like that. It's definitely not a looter shooter at heart, but I can see, like, you get this game and a couple others, like, I can see people being like, Outriders who? By the end of it all. You know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't go that far. But the game looks good. I think it's going to have a good audience on console. And the thing is, Otaku Nate said that AA games need more love. And that's true. Like, every so often I'll post a clip of something on Twitter or a few screenshots and people say, I'll always get one or two people that say, that looks okay for a AA game. or it would be cool if that was a AAA game. But like, I think people need to just drop the whole A thing. Like, you're fighting dinosaurs with machine guns, and it looks good, right? You have the Ascent coming, which is this top-down isometric, cyberpunk game with super realistic detail, and it's made by a team of like 11 people. Like, you can have excellent, really good AA games. These indie titles with a lot of love and passion put into them. But like, I think these games look awesome. People should give them a chance. Like, they may discover their new favorite game, so to speak. And we still have big titles coming, and who knows? Like, we do have more co-op games coming like this throughout the year. So we have Dungeons and Dragons coming in a few months. We have Back for Blood coming later in the year. So like,
Dude,
this year,
I'm not a big Left 4 Dead fan, but Back for Blood with like the giant zombies and the different types of creatures or whatnot, I'm kind of interested in that, bro.
I mean, it's pretty much Left 4 Dead 3.
Yeah,
that's why people are hyped for it. But I mean, the fact that they're putting giant zombies in as well that can like rip walls down and stuff, that's cool. That's how they grow that. And the thing is, people can say, oh, it's just another Left 4 Dead. But it's the developers of Left 4 Dead making that game, and they know it. Like, whenever they talk about the game, it's blatantly Left 4 Dead. When they show it off, blatantly Left 4 Dead. But again, this game, yeah, you're right. It's kind of Left 4 Dead meets Horde. It's definitely going to find an audience. Again, we don't have a game on console right now where you fight T-Rexes with machine guns.
Dude, what this game is going to depend on, all right? What this game is going to depend on, it's something that made Left 4 Dead popular. The gunplay, the gameplay mechanics. If they create an addictive loop, because I believe that's why Left 4 Dead became as popular as it was. It just turned into an addictive loop of going over and over and over again with your friends, doing the same things. Of course, having having the zombies, different zombies spawn in different areas each time you play, the same map or whatnot. But I feel like maybe that's what the similarity is with me. I feel like if they create that addictive loop in this game where it just it gets people almost, I hate to say it, almost in a zombie like, just keep playing with your friends. You're having a great time. You're just going in level after level, mowing down huge dinosaurs, the small ones, stuff like that. If they create that addictive game loop, if that addictive game loop is in here, I feel like there will be a big player base for a long time with this game.
Oh yeah, and plus the achievements. Like, there's a lot of times where a game will come out and the achievements are just total BS. They're there just to make you play for thousands of hours where you don't really need to. Well, the achievements of this are actually really fair. You get an achievement for every time you finish a mission, or I should say one of the campaign missions. There's kill 2,000 enemies, kill 6,666 enemies.
Oh, wow.
Things like kill 20 enemies with supply drops, because you can call down like these like ammo crate things, stuff like that. Very simple stuff, but it's like I think stuff like that's fair. And again, those will be ready day one. Complete 20 contracts, because there's things like bounties in the game. Respawn 100 times. Well, that's definitely going to happen with me. But deploy 10 times, deploy 20 times, stuff like that. Very fair stuff. Kill a T-Rex with a supply drop, 50G.
Like with a supply drop, so you have to drop it on him?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I will try so hard to do that. Yeah.
Take a raptor down when you extract. So you probably have to shoot on the way out. But yeah, it's cool stuff. I mean, things like that. I'm sick of when developers just put in achievements where it's like, I love Gears, right? But that's seriously 2.0 achievement. Really? Was that necessary? Really? Like, I only play the campaign and Horde. That thing was never possible for me. But yeah, it looks like a good game all around, and it drops this during this week, so good time.
This Wednesday, and guess what, man? The funny thing about that, Wednesday is a day off for me from work, so I'm excited. I don't think they did they do a can you pre-download it? Do you know?
I'll check right now.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Yo, first off, shout out to Casket Repair. What is up, brother? And he is a member of the channel. He said that he is late. Yo, don't worry about it, man. You are here. You are here with us right now. Great to see you. Yo, Back from the Dead is here as well. What is up, my brother? Great to see you. Great to see everybody in the chat. Guys, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask one more time. Just, share the show out. Let the Xbox gamers know that we are talking all things Xbox right now. We have been going game after game from the beginning of this show. It's been a lot of fun so far. It's really good to be back. We definitely took my fault on it. We took a couple, I guess you could say a couple weeks off. Which was definitely my fault. But we are back, and we are loud, and we are talking all things Xbox. Jamie, did you see? Can you pre-download it or no?
Unfortunately, no.
No, because I saw it was in the coming soon in the Game Pass, but I didn't try to pre-download it. But that's all right, man. I'll get it downloaded, and I'll be in there Wednesday for it. Yo, shout out to the chat. Chat, let me know if you are gonna go in on Second Extinction day 1. It comes out Wednesday. It comes out on Game Pass as well as releases for digital. I believe is there a physical purchase as well?
I think it's just digital.
Okay, so it comes out for digital purchase or, of course, Game Pass. And it comes out in Game Pass the same day that Destroy All Humans goes into Game Pass as well, which I'm really excited about that, too, because it's Destroy All Humans. It's just absolute, alien humor in a video game, and I'm excited for that, too. But, Jamie, you wanted to talk about something, man, and it's something that we've touched on a couple times, but in our DM, you were talking about, first off, the FPS boost, but then you're talking about backwards compatibility. I gotta say right now, I'm really interested in the backwards compatibility program, because there are people out there on social media saying that they'll never go back to that. They'll never add more games. And I'm one of those people. I'm trying to vie for Kung Fu Chaos to go back compat. Seeing that Ninja Theory is now a first-party studio, and Kung Fu Chaos was an OG Xbox. I believe it was exclusive. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I believe it was exclusive. I know I was excited to play it on the OG Xbox, but it's a game that I want on back compat. I want to be able to play it again without having to go out and get an OG Xbox and all that good stuff. So, Jamie, what did you want to discuss when it came to backwards compatibility? You said you're going to tell me when we're on the show, bro.
Yeah, so Jason Ronald in the past has mentioned that we could see more backwards compatible titles, and there's been no news for a while because the backwards compatible team wanted to get everything working for the Xbox Series launch. It made sense. They had thousands of games. They had to make sure it worked day one, and the only games that don't work right now are Kinect games. So, job well done. And then they start doing work on FPS boosts. And the FPS boosts are awesome. We just got a new batch during the past week, and really impressive stuff. But I see people every day asking for, new games to be backwards compatible. But there's always some games I notice get more traction than others. So, whenever I mention Binary Domain, a lot of people want that to be backwards compatible. But people should be vocal about these things. And I don't mean tag people on Twitter like execs and stuff all the time. Like, believe me when I say, when people talk about stuff, developers, people at these companies, they notice. They do search terms and all that stuff. So whenever I talk about Max Payne 3, there's like all these people that come out of nowhere saying, "Oh, I love that game and I want to be backwards compatible." And I just posted a random tweet this morning, and it's got like 1,000 likes and over 30,000 impressions.
Oh, wow!
And it was just one of me crappy little Max Payne gifs. But a lot of people want that to be backwards compatible. And the thing is, Max Payne 3 is regarded as this like cult classic. It came out, it sold pretty well. Not according to Rockstar, but they used to sell 120 million bloody copies. But it's like it sold well. The multiplayer was really fun. It was original. The campaign is just freaking phenomenal. Like, if anyone ever gets a chance to play a Max Payne, it's like, just play it. Play the hell out of it twice. But like, whenever backwards compatibility gets mentioned, this game always comes up. And these developers, the people at the backwards compatible program, they pay attention to this stuff because I used to do this same crap when we used to vote. Can you remember a few years ago we had to vote on what games we wanted to see be backwards compatible?
Yeah.
So, like, I pushed for Assassin's Creed. I can't remember it. The second pirate one. The
Uh,
name's gone. But Assassin's Creed. Damn, Assassin's Creed Rogue. It was the one that came out in 2014 on the Xbox 360, and I campaigned for that for months, getting the votes up. I got the votes up into the thousands because I was talking about it every day. But whenever like I talk about Max Payne 3, everyone wants it backwards compatible all of a sudden. So like when it comes to people voicing what they want to be backwards compatible, just talk about what you want online to be backwards compatible because they do pay attention to this stuff. You know, like I'm sure people at Xbox have noticed the Max Payne tweets pop off. Like, just putting it out there.
yeah, yeah, and I know for me, one of my favorite franchises, and this isn't a first party, so like I kind of hold my breath on this because at the end of the day, it's up to the publishers and kind of like what the rights are for this game and all this good stuff. But the Fear franchise,
Yeah.
even Fear 3, which wasn't really kindly accepted by the community that plays that franchise. Fear 2 is my absolute favorite, but the three Fears I would definitely want backwards compatible. I would actually really want a sequel made for this generation, but until then, if they can throw those on there with Kung Fu Chaos, and I would be incredibly happy. But Jamie, like I said, there's people out there that are saying that they'll never start up the back compat like program again, like that they're pretty much done with that. Do you think that's true? Is there anything that would either go with that or against it? Because I know you're in the trenches when it comes to the backwards compatibility stuff, so you would know more than I would.
I have heard it will come back at some point.
Okay.
But the thing is that you have to look at it from Microsoft's point of view right now, is that they have the brand new Xbox Series X and S, and whenever they talk about FPS boosts for backwards compatible titles, it makes the news because now people can play Battlefield 1, 5, 4 at like 120 frames per second online. You can play Titanfall 2 at 120 frames per second. That is batshit crazy. like these FPS boosts were just ridiculous because these games are already 60 frames already, but they're going up to 120. Like if you would have told me a few years ago that we'd be playing 120 frames FPS possible on an Xbox for Titanfall 2, I'd call you nuts. But here we are. And it's like, yes, you do need a monitor or a TV that does support it, but it's the fact that the thing about these patches is that it's all about like Microsoft start talking about HDR in 2016, right? And then what happens within 6 months? All these TV manufacturers start talking about HDR because gaming pushed HDR, and gaming is going to push 120 frames, and that will push TV makers to make 120 frames displays more affordable, quicker than they originally would be. We're seeing more and more often now Samsung and LG televisions with 120 frames capability. But yeah, we will see more down the line, I believe it. It's just, I think Microsoft want to talk about all the new stuff at the minute because, again, this stuff makes news. Like, if they came out tomorrow and said, hey, the Fear Trilogy, and I think there would be a huge reaction for the Fear Trilogy to be backwards compatible. Like I would love to play the first one in particular again, even though that kicked my ass back in the day.
Dude, the AI in the first one was absolutely insane, dude.
Like soldiers would flank you, and then when you go into slow motion mode, you can see how they could flank you and kick your ass in slow motion. It was fantastic.
Dude, do you remember the metal stake gun? It shot like a metal stake that would stick people to the wall.
Yeah, and that game had crazy lighting, and like back in the day on 360, that was mind blowing. Like lights would be hanging from the ceiling, like shaking from side to side, and it would change the lighting in the room. It was crazy. That's why I always talk about backwards compatible games, especially for the 360. There's 360 games doing crap that you'd think it would be impossible looking back. You know, if you go back and play The Force Unleashed in 4K, there's like reflections on the ground and stuff that I never really noticed
All right,
before.
you convinced me. I'm going to download it and play it now. Thank you. Force Unleashed, got you.
That game is so good. I'll talk about that game all day. The sequel is terrible, but the first one in particular is good. But like, I think we will see new games. It's just Microsoft want to get the honeymoon phase out the way first. You know, talking about 120 frames games, because again, there's like 40 games now on Xbox that do 120 frames. So like, that's a big marketing point right now. You know, saying the Fear trilogy or Max Payne 3 being backwards compatible, I don't think that's going to make, you know, industry news. But this frames per second stuff is. It's just we're going to be playing the waiting game on new titles, but I don't think it's going to be years out. I think it might be this year.
Well, the frame stuff, let's be honest, that's like a technological innovation. Like, that's something, you know, I've stated this when it comes to new generations. I saw it in 2013. You know, with the Xbox One, nobody ever thought about game DVR and the ability to kind of like make YouTube videos and stuff like that straight from your console. That was a technological innovation with the console, and I feel like, you know, with the FPS boost, the boost in resolutions for backwards compatible games and stuff like that, these are technological innovations. These are things that we didn't expect to see, and you know, kind of like shocked us, and now we want to see more games taking advantage of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, you mentioned that, is that when Max Payne, I should say, Watch Dogs 2 was announced to have a frames per second boost, it now runs flawless at 60 frames, and it's so buttery smooth. But the funny thing is that whenever I talk about Watch Dogs 2 at 60 frames, the number one comment is, well, what about a resolution patch? And whenever I talk about games with resolution patches, I guess,
what about
so is it getting a 60 frames boost?
Yeah, what about frames?
So it's like, yeah, so it's like you can't win. It's like it basically comes down to no one's going to be happy until every game is 4K 60. Like, that's the way I'm getting the reception of anyway. But like,
yeah,
if
but
you look
even
back,
if it's 4K 60, then it'll be like, well, what about 120?
But like when you go download, and everyone listening, go download and play Star Wars Force Unleashed, and just move the camera close to the character. You see detail that was there all along. The developers made years ago, and we couldn't see because of the lower resolution and the bad aliasing. But now we can see that high fidelity detail, and even like on little buttons on the back of his like backpack. And now you have like frames per second boosts that. Like, these things are being done by the BC team without any input by the developer, without any game patches. The technology is impressive, and you know, and we have all this stuff coming about, you know, machine learning, and machine learning could add detail into the like backgrounds and like, you know, pre-rendered backgrounds that was, you know, was low detail to begin with. My point is that it's impressive technology, and it's only going to get better. So like this, while now we do have the resolution stuff, the auto HDR, by the way. I've been playing Quantum Break. Auto HDR is a game changer for Quantum Break.
Dude, it's a game changer for Grand Theft Auto 5. Oh my goodness. Yo, the game has never looked better, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I've put over 3,000 hours into Grand Theft Auto. And when I stopped playing with Auto HDR, I noticed there's a big difference. So it's like, you know, especially like with Xbox Series S and X, like the auto HDR stuff, the frames per second boost, like, it's fantastic stuff. Like, I know we can talk about new games and stuff, but we already have libraries of games. If it wasn't for backwards compatibility, both of these consoles would have launched with about 10 games. You know, like take out every game in the store that isn't Series X and S optimized, you have next to nothing. All the games people are playing right now, and mainly quote-unquote old games. So I don't want to hear any of that crap. Like, it's impressive stuff. It's making older games and, you know, look and perform better. But yeah, again, everyone, please play Force Unleashed. If you have like even a 1X in like the 4K mode, looks fantastic. It's ridiculous. It's impressive stuff, and we're going to see more of it. But I think it's funny how I'm seeing more people ask for resolution enhancements now all of a sudden. over the frames per second boost.
Like you said, man, people will never be satisfied, and then they'll do the 4K, they'll have the 60, and then they'll come in. Well, how about 120 now? I think that's just kind of like the nature of the beast. But they are definitely doing some very, very impressive stuff, because like you said, when it comes to the FPS boost, when it comes to a resolution boost, they're not going into anything in the game code or anything like that. Jason's team has got it to where the system itself does all the work, and they don't have to ask for permission to go into the game code or do anything, have to deal with the developers or the publishers of the game for when it came out or anything like that, and they can pretty much just let the system run the game better. And I think that's really awesome. I think that's where the innovation is when it comes to the FPS boost, when it comes to the resolution boost that they are doing on PC games. And I also think that this technology is kind of like the key. That's what's going to keep the Series S relevant throughout this entire generation, because I think they're going to be using that technology to keep the games on par running on the Series S as opposed to the Series X. So they're going to run them kind of like on par with the Series X, and we all know that the Series S doesn't have that V8 engine under the hood. It runs a turbo powered V6 is what's going on there. But Jamie, real quick, I want to talk about a first party studio under Xbox, and it seems I forgot who tweeted it out.
Actually, before you go into that, I kind of want to make a note on the backwards compatible thing, because there's something I forgot to talk about. I was using xCloud on iPhone yesterday to play Xbox 360 games.
Oh, really? How did everything ran smooth? Like what?
Yes. So for people that might not know, xCloud is now in beta for iOS. So you use xCloud in the mobile browser, and it worked really well. Like I was playing Banjo-Kazooie with touch controls, and it worked fine. It was perfectly fine. It pulled my save from the cloud, and it just started working like it would on an Xbox One or Xbox Series console. It was really cool stuff. Like the fact that you can play even these older games via the cloud was really cool. I will say this though, that my battery drained really fast. But that's to be expected when you're streaming video. But it's pretty cool that people now on iPhone, or at least everyone soon, can just play it in the browser, because iPhone's policies they changed a while ago. But it's cool stuff.
Nice. That is awesome. And you're still my friend, even though you're on an iPhone. Of course, I am on a Galaxy. You know what I'm saying? I am with Android. But the only reason why I'm with Android is I tried iPhone at one point in time for a year, and I could not wait to get off of iPhone for that entire year. But that was just coming off of Windows Phone as well. And shout out to my brother Jez Corden out there, because he is with me in the camp of bring Windows Phone back, because I absolutely loved that operating system. And I love that phone. I actually had, I believe it's the 950 XL. It actually had liquid cooling. Had liquid cooling in a cell phone. I could plug a monitor, a keyboard, and a mouse into it. Of course, with an adapter. But I could basically use my phone as a small computer at that point in time. Like that was absolutely amazing. Microsoft. We miss Windows Phone, man. We miss it. Bring it back. But anyway, let's get into first party, and let's talk about Obsidian, because I believe it was Clobrill on Twitter that kind of got this whole thing started. But there's been rumors about this for a little while now. It seems that Obsidian, which is it's a first party studio under Xbox, a pretty big studio as well. Don't get it twisted. They're not a small. They don't have a small amount of developers. They're a pretty big studio. It seems that the rumor is they are working on 5 different projects, 5 different games right now for the Xbox platform. And when I first heard that, I was like, wow, wow, that is a lot. But then I thought about it, and Obsidian, they are known for their RPGs, right? Jamie, I'm just gonna start hitting you with questions on this. Like, first off, 5 different games being developed right now by one studio, and granted, it's not a small studio, so it's not like absolutely astronomical and like how are they doing this or whatnot. But do you think that there are 5 titles being developed right now at Obsidian? And then when you do answer that, I gotta ask you, like, when it comes to 5 titles from Obsidian, they're known for RPGs. Do you think, like, man, I'm not the biggest RPG guy, and I know, Jamie, you are, but if it's 5 RPGs, man, that seems like a lot, almost overkill to me. I don't know. What do you think, bro?
I think the number's more like 4. We've seen that Obsidian can work on multiple different types of games. They had Grounded come out. They could be working on something like that. And the thing is about Grounded and The Outer Worlds, 2 very different games, both made with small teams. So that just goes to show that point. They can make different types of stuff. We don't know what the hell's going on. Who knows? For all we know, and I've mentioned this in the past, this isn't a leak or anything. I don't want anyone to run with this, okay? Just putting it out there. I know certain people will tweet this stuff saying it's rumors. It's not. Microsoft could be working with, let's say, Lucasfilm, and Obsidian could be making a Star Wars game. That's not a rumor. That's me saying it's a possibility, right? I'm just putting it out there.
But it could, because when it comes down to it, they kind of took that exclusivity off of Star Wars, off of EA, and they're kind of like spreading it out now.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I'm just putting it out there. But they could totally be making that many games. And the thing is, like, you don't really play a lot of RPGs, and that makes sense. You might be thinking it's a bit much, but you have to think, how many years does it take to make an RPG? 3, 4, and then they're not going to be releasing them one after another within the same year. So they're probably going to release 1 game a year. That's fine, They're probably going to have a game in the works that isn't an RPG. So I see that number being kind of realistic. I think it's probably more like 4. But yeah, I totally see that being real. Obsidian could make range. They made the South Park RPG.
But yeah, I hear you on that, and my whole thing is RPG on the end. Like, when we looked at the studios that they acquired, right? There were a lot that were RPG kind of like centric, and Obsidian is like the king of the hill on that one, in my opinion. And there was people that were excited. I think you at one point in time, Jamie, like, Xbox will be the RPG box now. Me not being so much into RPGs as much as you are or whatnot, I wouldn't be as excited, you know what I'm saying, about that type of future. I would like to see Obsidian, even if it's 4, even if they do like 3 RPGs, like, I would like one of these things to be like a stretch beyond what they're used to, especially since they have Game Pass, and you've heard developers say how much freedom, working with Xbox and having your games go into Game Pass, how much freedom you get to really create what you want or whatnot. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah,
but the thing is, Microsoft, like, they bought Obsidian for RPGs. They have studios that make other games. Tango Softworks, horror games, 343, Machine Games, IdTech. They all make first-person shooters. You have the Coalition, third-person shooters. They do have a bunch of RPG studios. They have, Ninja Theory. Ninja Theory make a broad range of games. They made,
yes.
Enslaved Odyssey to the West, DMC, Devil May Cry.
Oh, best DMC.
Kung Fu Chaos, and Hellblade. And the thing is, those are all very different games. They can generally work in the whole third-person action-adventure type thing. I don't really see Microsoft having a bunch of RPGs being an issue. When I say Obsidian working on 4 games, I don't think that's being 4 RPGs. I just mean 4 games. most of them being RPGs. You know,
Yeah.
we have the Outer Worlds 2, Avowed, possibly something smaller, and maybe something else. But I think it's cool them working on multiple different stuff, because I don't. Microsoft bought these studios knowing that they can work on multiple different titles.
Mm-hmm.
Obsidian is a big developer. Like, remember, they made a spy RPG during the 360 generation. They have range, but I wouldn't be like concerned about too many RPGs. Like, RPGs like a few and far between if you really think about it. If anything, we see more open world games than RPGs.
Yeah, open world has definitely become. I would say it's become a crutch. It started a few years ago when people announcing new games. It would be all of a sudden you would hear in the community, "Is it open world?" Like, and I'm like, I don't want everything open world, bro. Calm down. But I hear you on that, man, and I think you definitely make a lot of sense there. I'm definitely from that little quick trailer for Avowed, I definitely want to see more on that. Shout out to our brother Christopher Hart, who is in the chat. He said it sounds like I want an exclusive game from Firewalk Studios. Now, the only thing about that is Firewalk Studios has singular developers that have pedigree, but we don't know how those developers will be able to work together, all right, to make a game. Let's be real here. We don't know about their cohesion. We don't know, I could put a basketball team together and just go on pure talent alone. It doesn't mean they're going to win the basketball game. You see what I'm saying? You got to have pieces that fit together to create something special, Chris. And I'm not saying they're not going to do it, but I don't know how you would say I would want a game from them when I believe they haven't come out with a game at all. So, yeah. I don't know, but getting back to Obsidian, I definitely have interest in Avowed. It's crazy to me, Jamie. Like 23 studios are under Xbox right now. Dude, how insane is that, man?
I mean, if you remember, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago, one of those, insiders said like Microsoft dropped funding to the whole, Xbox thing. And I've heard stuff like this before, but the truth is, like, if you look at where they were in 2013 with 5 studios, 23, most of consistent of multiple studios, I should say multiple teams.
Yeah.
That's a huge
insane,
difference,
dude.
And again, like, we're going to see plenty of RPGs, first-person shooters. And here's the thing, Doom's pretty much wrapped up, so like, who knows what it's going to be working on next? I see a lot of people wanting Quake to return. Wouldn't it be cool if Quake came back with like a full-on single-player campaign and full-on multiplayer again? Like, that would be cool. The beauty of Microsoft having so many teams is that they can make anything now. They don't have to, rely on anyone else. Although they do need some JRPG or Japanese studios outside of Tango Softworks. But yeah, I mean, Microsoft's in a good place. They have all sorts in the development. And here's the thing, after the whole Indiana Jones announcement, anything could be coming.
Anything is possible, bro. It's absolutely incredible. And, when it comes to the Japanese support, JRPGs, a lot of people forget Phil Spencer came out with a list, and I think, Jamie, you might remember this. He came out with a list of stuff he wanted to accomplish when he took his seat at Xbox. Seat at the adult table per se, and he wanted to take care of the stigma when it came to power resolution and stuff like that. And of course, they came out with the One X. He came out with a list of stuff, and then right at the end, he talked about games, and then you see the acquisitions of all these studios, and of course, this generation we haven't seen a first party title come out yet, but you look at the sheer number of studios and multiple teams within those studios, like it is obvious that this man he sticks by his word, is what I'm trying to say. Like you see the games coming. Definitely have enough studios in the stable to pump out first-party content for the Xbox platform, which of course is the Xbox console, it is the PC, and it is, you know, mobile with the cloud. But so when he talks about gaining Japanese support, I don't know how anybody could doubt that. You know what I'm saying? Because he has pretty much lived up to his promises, except for VR, which I have called him out on. And I'm pointing to my screen at the chat just to let people, you guys don't remember. I called him out on that multiple times. That is still a broken promise that he needs to fix. But when it came to the source, like the big things that he wanted to do with Xbox, he went right down the line, checking off the list. And then you can also tell that the Japanese support is a big thing to him. It's why he's been to Japan so many times, you know, talking to different companies and such. So, Jamie, like, we should believe that he's going to get that, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. Originally, he said that we would never be, you know, outpowered again. And the Xbox, you know, One X, greatly powerful. Awesome console. And then, you know, the Xbox Series consoles. And then with the studios, and then with the games and stuff. And it's like, he's obviously keeping these promises. And yeah, the VR thing, you know, I think the problem with that is they misfired too early. You know, I don't think they were really promising. I think that they thought, oh, we'll go and do VR because PlayStation's doing it, rather than wanting to do VR because they want to do it. Because, you know, yeah, you have to remember with the Xbox One X, they said, okay, we'll be able to do high fidelity VR. They never talked about games, you know, or anything, or what the headset would look like or anything. So I think that was just a reaction to, like, what if VR took off? What if? But it didn't really take off as much as, like, people would like to think. But hey, I can't even use VR, and even I've said Microsoft should do VR. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that says it all. But like the whole Japanese studio thing, like, they've wanted more Japanese games on the platform. We got the Yakuza games on Game Pass, especially. We've had a bunch of Final Fantasy games on Game Pass, which, well, we've still got more coming. So you know, he's doing everything right. I think we will get a few Japanese studios down the line, and you know, if we could get another game this generation with the quality like Lost Odyssey, people would be happy, because like that game to this day is still one of the best JRPGs ever made.
Yeah, there are a lot of fans of Lost Odyssey out there. You know, whenever we talk about this, that is one of the first games that comes to mind that you see in the chat and whatnot. Yo, shout out to my brother RG Viper X. He says the Sega announcement is coming soon. Sega, dude, oh man, I hope so. I think that would be awesome. You know, you would get Sonic as a mascot for Xbox as well. Like if I was working for Xbox, if you know, and I had some sway in kind of like these meetings and stuff, I would be pushing for that acquisition, just because to me it would be an absolute home run. Would absolutely love to see that. And of course, with those controllers that they came out with at the beginning of the year, man, it was. And then of course, you know, yeah, Aaron Greenberg petting a hedgehog on Twitter for no rhyme or reason, stuff like that. It's just really it really shows that there's something behind the scenes going on there, and I'm hoping to hear from that at some point in time. Guys, remember, beginning of the year, they said by the end of this year there's supposed to be a huge announcement for acquisition. The rumor was a huge announcement in terms of an acquisition when it comes to Microsoft and Xbox, and I'm thinking Sega might be it, guys. I really am thinking that. I don't know, Jamie. What do you think, bro?
I think the Sega things came up half a dozen times. But I mean, if the Sega thing did happen, that would pretty much mean a definite yes for the Persona stuff. Because people have been asking for Persona to come to Xbox for years now. And do you know what's funny? Whenever I talk about Persona coming to Xbox, I always get one or two replies going, no. It's like, do you want Persona to come to Xbox? No. Like, why are you saying no? Like, I think it'd be cool because, you know, Microsoft and Sega, they've had a lot of relationship in the past going back to the Dreamcast. So there's a lot of history there. You know, Yakuza's performing well on Xbox. So I never say never. And plus, like, Sega sold their Japanese arcade division, and
Yeah,
then recently the American arcade division. So, I mean, there could be something there. There could be.
they could
The
be
thing is,
trimming down, looking good. You know,
yeah, and the thing is, I'm unwilling to rule anything out now, especially after the Bethesda thing, because that came out of left field. Remember, that was just a regular day with no leaks, and oh, what's this? Oh, Bethesda's been bought by Microsoft. That was so out of the blue. I had to check if it was a fake account. So I mean, it could be anything, really. I remember a few weeks ago there was rumors that Microsoft was going to buy Square Enix, and the internet nearly melted. Like,
dude. The funny thing is because Xbox has gotten the support of the Microsoft Corporation, and kind of like that wallet is open. We saw what happened with ZeniMax, and because that happened, any rumor now in terms of acquisition like seems plausible. It creates such a stir in the gaming community on social media because anything could happen right now. Nobody saw that ZeniMax thing, coming out, and it caught everybody by surprise to the point where now it's just like, there are no more rules. Like, it can't be like, oh, that's too big, or why, no, that ain't gonna happen. Like, Microsoft and Xbox have changed all that to the, there's a possibility here. And of course, the haters are gonna hate, and they're gonna say no, no, no. But the people that are kind of like in the in-betweens, who normally would have been like, when it came to Bethesda, id Software, ZeniMax as a whole, be like, no, that's not happening. No, there's no way. And now because of that acquisition, people are like, well, it could be. They could get Square Enix, or that Sega thing could really be real. Like, they have changed the game when it comes to that whole thing. So shout out to Xbox with that. And Jamie, just real quickly before we wind down, because like I said, try to make it an hour and a half show. I do want to touch on Forza Horizon 5 real quick, because first off, it's being talked about more than Forza Motorsport. And you know what I said? I said that Forza Motorsport should be coming out this year. I went out on the limb, and I'm gonna stay there, James. I'm gonna stay there, and I'm gonna say, it's still Forza Motorsport's coming out this year. But with that being said, there's a wider gamer demographic that will play Horizon, and people have been talking about Horizon more, and especially in terms of location. It started with people saying it's in Tokyo or it's in Japan, which would be really cool. You think about like how it is in Tokyo in the city, but then kind of like the rural areas. It seems to have everything that an open world racer would need to keep interest in kind of like the landscape, scenery, whatnot, and of course the backdrop in terms of cars in Japan. They definitely go together. Then I heard of the rumor that it was Puerto Rico. And I thought about that, and I'm like, okay, San Juan. Like, I was like, there's every single kind of like demographic there too. You got the rural areas, hilly / mountainous terrain. You have the cities. It seems to have kind of like the various environments that you would need for an open world racer. And now people are saying that it's in Mexico. So I'm like, damn, man, can you guys calm down when it comes to this? Because like, you got me overthinking when it comes to Forza Horizon. So Jamie, what do you think about the rumors so far? You heard the three areas. Now it's Mexico. People are saying that it's in. What do you think is going on here? Do you think any of these locations is going to be the one? What are your thoughts, brother?
Okay, let's talk about the whole Japan thing. The whole Japan thing in Tokyo has been mentioned since Forza Horizon 4 was before it was announced, before we knew it was Britain.
Do you remember that artwork, that cover?
Yeah, and the thing is, that artwork was for China, not for Japan. The thing is, people, like myself included, have said, wouldn't it be cool if it was Tokyo? Because then you have Mount Fuji southwest of Tokyo, so you have like the forests, and then you have the cityscape, and then the mountains. So like it would always make sense for Forza Horizon to go there at some point. But you have to look at then they announced it was going to be Britain, and even at the time I was like, really? There's roads I regularly go on that are really? That's Forza? But it works. But the thing is, you have to think about where could they go next. There's Tokyo, there's China, there's Switzerland, Brazil, and Mexico.
I forgot Switzerland was a place too. Oh my goodness, man!
I mean, it's one of the racing capitals of the world. With all the hills and mountains and stuff, would be perfect for drift tracks. But yeah, Mexico makes sense, man. You have all those long roads. Would be perfect. I think there was a certain Need for Speed game that had long roads like that. I can't really remember, but I could see it being possible. Although what's funny is that they announced Forza Motorsport first, so it's like that's like Disney going, "Hey, he's Star Wars Episode 11, and he's 12." It's kind of weird. But it's Microsoft's weird these days. Not necessarily that's a bad thing. But hey, they could surprise us. It could be somewhere completely different. It could be Forza Watersport, although that was going to be a thing at one point. Yeah, I see the Mexico thing being true if it happens. Although I was kind of hoping for Motorsport this year, just because, like Forza Motorsport 7, that is one game that you can show off your console with. Because that's the thing, you need a track racer to show off a console. You really do. And even though Forza Horizon games are always going to be stunning, it's the Motorsport series that are always the 10 poles of visuals.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm surprised again this generation. I feel like the first party offerings for the first year of these consoles. I mean, let's be honest. So far, it's been absolutely abysmal. But they've done especially with Xbox, they have done other things with the FPS boost, supporting backwards compatibility. There's cross-gen games that they have been working on and stuff like that. So it's not like we have nothing to play. But I can't remember a year where the lack of first party across the board when it comes to multiple platforms, the offerings that we got first party have been really, really minimal so far within the first year, but so when it comes down to it, first off, shout out to Chipmunk in the chat. What is up, Chipmunk? He said Forza Horizon 5 will be in Germany or China, calling it. So that's what he thinks. It's either Germany or China. Well, you picked two different locations there. Jamie, I gotta ask, out of the rumored locations, where would you want Forza Horizon to be next?
I think Mexico would be better than anywhere else, to be honest. If Tokyo is still on the cards, I'd take Tokyo, but I think Mexico would be pretty cool.
And why do you say that, bro?
Just when you see the landscapes of the countryside, it's just lots of long straight roads where you could do lots of I don't know, drag racing and stuff. That could be really cool.
Dude, I could definitely see that. Another reason why, if I had to pick Mexico or whatnot, I could see the differences in atmosphere, because you have the tourist locations with the palm trees and the resorts and kind of the nightlife and stuff like that. And then you could go out into the countryside, into the desert. So it's a lot of varied locations there. Of course, they have a huge dynamic shore with the Gulf as well, that you can have some absolutely beautiful races right next to the Gulf of Mexico. Really kind of show off there. But Jamie, I'm still saying that Forza Motorsport's coming out first. Even though all these rumors and like you said, they announced Motorsport first anyway. So I feel like I'm still ahead of the curve here, even though rumors have been persisting when it comes to Horizon and its location. So shout out to the chat, put in the chat, out of the rumored locations, where would you want the next Forza Horizon to be? And then in that same thing, let me know if you think Horizon's coming out before Motorsport, or if you think people are jumping the gun here, and in all actuality, Motorsport, which I think is going to be more of supported over time type game, seeing as they took the number off of the title, so now it's just Forza Motorsport. Is that coming out before Horizon? So put that in the chat as well. But Jamie, dude, we did it. We got another show in. Are you happy? I'm happy. I know I'm happy. Are you happy, bro?
Yeah, it's been a few weeks, and we've had a lot to talk about. And the thing is, we're gonna have a hell of a lot more topics going up into June with E3 approaching and stuff. It's good times, man. And again, like the whole situation from the MLB stuff to Microsoft possibly purchasing Sega and the Forza crap. There's a lot of stuff to talk about.
Dude, I'm seeing some locations right now, like two things that step out here. Greece and Africa. Dude,
Africa would be pretty cool.
Wow. Those two comments right just blew my mind, because then like my mind just started thinking about what I would be racing by. That would be so cool. Alaska. I don't know about Alaska. Like, I don't. I'm gonna have to look at like the landscape there, because I don't want everything snow, and I know that might be a stereotypical thing when it comes to Alaska, but I'm just saying. Said Forza is going to be like Halo Infinite ongoing. Exactly, and I can't wait for that. Like that'll be so good to get Motorsport as like an ongoing. Egypt, which is in Africa, so that you're kind of agreeing with Verge, but you're being more specific, and I like that. Egypt would be crazy, because if you go close to the Nile, then you got all your vegetation and everything like that. You do have your cityscapes in Egypt as well as like the historic ancient Egyptian locations with the pyramids and stuff. That would be insane as well. You guys are knocking it out the park, yo. Thank you guys so much for those. But Jamie, we gotta get going. We gotta get going with our outros here, man. I got stuff I gotta prepare for work for tomorrow and all that good stuff. So, Jamie, you are a YouTuber. Not only that, but you are a social media personality. Like it or not, Jamie, you are, because your tweets are followed. You always have people commenting on them, whether it's good or bad or whatnot. So people look forward to talking to you on social media. So for people out there who don't know what that is, I think you need to tell them that. And of course, the Elusive Gamer YouTube channel, bro.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's been awesome, Sean. The chat today has been awesome, so that's awesome. I say awesome a lot. I get that. But yeah, my YouTube is the Elusive Gamer. I try to get out 2 Xbox-related videos, because, again, my channel is just Xbox. There's no console hate, no nothing. Trying to get videos out on Mondays at least. And I've got a podcast coming out in the next few weeks.
What's the name of the podcast?
I'm not ready to tell.
Damn
it's going to be blatantly obvious. I've had the name of this podcast for 4 years, and I've been waiting till I had the time to do it. But again, the podcast is going to be announced with the date and the name, hopefully by the end of next week.
The Elusive Gaming Podcast.
You couldn't be further from it.
Damn
it. But when the name's announced, people will go, okay, yeah, that makes sense, because it's just too on the nose. But yeah, again, that's going to be mainly Xbox, but covering little bits of everything. I'm trying to arrange it so it's not during anybody else's show, because I'm too polite.
It's so hard to do, bro.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think it's awesome that everyone's doing like a live show or podcast or stream or something. But the problem is, if you live in the UK, I have pretty much limited options of times to go, unless I'm willing to stay up till 6 a.m. and do podcasts. Mm-hmm. So it's like I'm trying to pick the perfect time. I've got something zoned in, but yeah, again, that'll be announced by the end of the week. I should have an Xbox related topic out tomorrow and some rumor based stuff by the end of the week. And my Twitter is Jamie Moran UK, where it's gaming stuff.
Nice. Now, Jamie, can I ask you one more question about this podcast? Because you got me excited, bro. One more question. Are you gonna have a panel?
Yeah. Yep.
Is there anybody that you have announced already on that panel?
To be announced.
Ooh, dude, you're just leaving us on that cliff, man. I don't know. Dude, I can't wait. I can't wait to hear. Guys, I don't even know what's going on. I just want to let you know that I have no idea when it comes to the panel, to the name. Jamie does not share any of that stuff with me. Maybe I can convince him off air. I don't know, man. But I'm excited. Yo, congratulations, man. I cannot wait. It's going to be awesome to see you as a host with your own podcast. It's been a long time coming, man. And you know I'm going to support it. And depending on time and schedule and stuff, because of my job, if you ever need somebody on, or stuff like that, you can always hit me up on Twitter or whatnot, and I will gladly jump on with you, bro.
Oh, you're always welcome.
Nice. You heard that, guys. Always welcome. I have an open door. Let's see if he still agrees to that when I'm on like 3 times in a row. Anyway, and of course, guys, you know where to find me. You found me here. This is my YouTube channel. It is Xbot448. Go ahead, if you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe button. You want to become a member? I have I know some people do tiers and they have different kind of like monetary values and stuff like that. I believe the way I set it up is one flat kind of like tier. I think I went kind of like the lowest or whatnot. Go ahead and join. As always, your support means a lot to me. Everybody who hits up the super chats, stuff like that, guys, you have no idea how much I appreciate it. I would love to make YouTube my only job, like seriously. But the job I work now, I work 12 hours a day, 2 days on, 2 days off. It is really hard to get content out and stuff like that. And you guys have been so supportive. It has been absolutely incredible. Again, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. The Series X podcast is back after a little hiatus. RG Viper, I hope you are happy, bro. I told you we were going live. I think you guys, I know I was entertained. I hope you guys were as well. And hopefully we will see you back next time we are live. But until then, guys, keep it gaming. And as always, keep it Xbox. Have a great night, everybody.